air forces of Belarus and Russia will begin joint air patrol missions out of one of the Belarusian airfields this summer. Minsk and Moscow are resuming the practice of joint fighter jets patrols, first started in 2013, but suspended 2 years later due to Russia-Ukraine conflict. In addition to restarting joint air patrol missions, Belarus and Russia have agreed to establish 3 joint combat training centers within the framework of the bilateral strategic partnership program for 2021-2025. One of these facilities, a joint combat training center of Air Force and Air Defense Forces, will be located on the territory of Belarus in Grodno region. Its main purpose will be the instruction of Su-30SM aircraft crews, the training of Belarusian specialists to operate modern anti-aircraft missile systems that are in service with the Russian armed forces, as well as joint execution of combat training tasks. Russia will host the other 2 combat training centers in Nizhny Novgorod and Kaliningrad oblasts. Crucially, that those Russian personnel will come under the command and control of the Belarusian side. Like in 2013, however, the Kremlin may not be satisfied with this agreed upon agreement for long and could eventually renew its calls for establishing a Russian air base inside Belarus. When Belarus and Russia agreed to launch joint patrol missions first time in 2013, very soon Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu announced creation of a Russian air base in Baranovichi, Belarus, with the deployment of 1 fighter aircraft regiment by 2015. President Alexander Lukashenko publicly denied these words, emphasizing that the key issue under consideration was not creating of an air base, but supplying Russian aircraft to the armed forces of Belarus. Then in 2015, the Kremlin once again announced that it had formalized plans to deploy Russian military base with direct subordination to Moscow on Belarusian territory without Minsk prior consent. Lukashenko denied and rejected this initiative in 2015 as well, emphasizing that there were no relevant geopolitical and military technical reasons for such a step. By the way, those arguments Lukashenko has reiterated recently after his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin on the 22nd of April this year. So why Minsk is promoting these 2 initiatives? First of all, with the help of these 2 initiatives, Minsk is trying to secure the provision of modern Russian aircraft on preferential terms or for free, while preserving its strategic autonomy vis-a-vis Russia in light of the decreasing capabilities of the Belarusian Air Force. Secondly, Alexander Lukashenko is trying to demonstrate his geopolitical loyalty at the background of deteriorating relations with the West, but he's also seeking to boost domestic air defense capabilities and in order to undermine one of Russia's main arguments for why it needs to establish an air base in Belarus. But of course, from the geopolitical point of view, stationing troops on the ground is the most effective means of securing Belarus within the Russian sphere of geopolitical influence. Therefore, it's highly unlikely Moscow will ever accept Lukashenko's arguments for why a permanent Russian base is unnecessary, particularly amidst his vulnerability at home and isolation from the West. However, in order to reduce the intensity of Moscow's criticism of the combat capabilities of the Belarusian Air Force, as well as Kremlin's pressure, the Belarusian leadership decided to buy 12 Russian Su-30SM fighter jets for $600 million in 2017 to substitute its outdated MiG-29 fighters. So probably by 2022, 2023, the Belarusian Air Force will have 12 Su-30SM fighters, according to the contract with the Russian side. And adding to this total the hypothetical 8 Su-30s that Russia can transfer to joint air patrols and the Joint Air and Air Defense Forces Combat Training Center, that makes only 20 fighters total, instead of the required minimum of 36, of course, excluding the 2 Belarusian MiG-29 squadrons with questionable operational and technical characteristics. So this is still not enough to guarantee the reliable protection of Russia in the Western strategic direction, according to the Russian strategists. Consequently, the Kremlin will surely raise the issue of Russian air base in Belarus again, and likely again at least opportune moment for Minsk. As far as I know, this issue is not on the agenda yet. Probably special operation forces, including airborne, will be trained at the joint training centers that will be located on the territory of Russia, especially in Nizhny Novgorod and potentially in Kaliningrad. But definitely Russia would like to establish not a rotational but a permanent military presence in the form of a joint military base. And this joint military base can consist of several military installations, including the Air Force base, Special Operation Forces base, some ground forces. If you look at the deployment model, Russia has tested already in Syria, for instance, or in other post-Soviet countries like Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, or Armenia, you can see that the joint military bases usually consists of at least ground or special operation forces component, and of course Air Force component. So I believe that Russia would like to implement this deployment model or the model of permanent military presence in Belarus as well. But due to the political and geopolitical reasons, it is highly unlikely that Lukashenko will ever accept these Kremlin's proposals, because appearance of Russian military facilities subordinated directly to Moscow, to the Kremlin, will definitely undermine one of Lukashenko's power pillars, meaning his monopoly on using the force inside the country. And it seems that he considers Russian military presence in Belarus as one of threats to his power.